don't know how you all are, but every time I've ever tried to do this, the only thing I've ever mastered is sauerkraut. Every time that I've ever tried to do any of this, the minute it starts doing something, I throw it out because I'm like, oh, it's mold. It's going bad. It's not good stuff or whatever. And it just freaks me out. So spending a few hours with Dana a couple weeks ago was huge because now I have jars of everything sitting everywhere, and my husband's like, what is this? It's like science experiments on the counter or whatever.
BJ thought we were packing up the entire kitchen this morning. I was like, that. So, okay, first of all, how many are familiar with fermenting? Okay, all right. Shelly and I talked. We're basically going to start with the basics just because we figure that would help everyone out. So basically my thought process about all of this when she came to me was I went back to my mindset probably 8 or 10 years ago about how to stop buying store-bought probiotics. Just for the fact of my husband knows I live, eat, and dream to be self-sufficient. I would be totally fine with never, ever, ever going back to the grocery store ever again. So, with that being said, there was one year around St. Patrick's Day and I had a ton of cabbage coming out my ears and I thought, today we're going to start fermenting. We're going to make kraut. And then 7 days later, it was the best kraut I've ever eaten. And that's when my whole fermenting fanatic was born, basically. So, okay. You want me to explain these things in the process, or do we want to jump into the kraut first?
Let's talk about the gut. The second page of your thing, it has a like gut evaluation. Because we really want to nail this down, get this solidified in your mind why we need to do this. So let's take a look at that paper.
And this packet that I typed up and made, it's got just a bunch of basic facts in it. We may not cover all of them, we may not talk about them, but just take it home, read over it, and it can help you fully understand the importance of the basic reason to start fermenting. Okay, so where did you say we're going this evaluation?
Yep.
My pages are different because I decided to get happy and add a bunch of self-notes to mine. Okay, so basically, I have 18 years of pharmacy technician experience. Life happened, our daughter made us grandparents, so whenever we got a granddaughter, I didn't go back to work. So I stayed home. And the pharmacist that I work one-on-one with at the pharmacy, she is wellness driven. Find the root causes. Basically, she's the only pharmacist that I'd ever seen that did not want to hand you a prescription. Therefore, that is me. I worked in the pharmacy for 18 years, and over that course of time, I realized that I did not want to be the person walking out with 18 prescriptions in a bag for my maintenance meds. So, finding the root cause of the different diseases, whether you're a person coming in for just your typical stomach medicine, example is my husband back there. He's on typical stomach medicine. A couple of years later, you develop the side effects of that, and there you are to get medication for an ulcer. So, when you're going to the pharmacy, prescription medicines are designed to help you. They're not designed to fix you. Fixing you is your responsibility. So, with that being said, 80% your gut biome, your gut health, 80% of your immune system comes from the microbes and the healthy bacteria that is in your gut. So if that's out of whack, that's where your common, however you want to say it, ailments that exist in our country come from. Whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether that's something has progressed and turns into diabetes, or any of your chronic conditions, your heart conditions, all of those things. 9 times out of 10, people start with ailments. Oh, I've got a joint that's hurting. It's because you've got a ton of inflammation in there. The inflammation stems from your gut. So, there is a gut evaluation. Basically, after talking to Mary Lee, the pharmacist that's my friend, she and I went over this, and I just told her, I said, these are the most common basic things when I'm talking to people, problems that they're having, things that are bothering them, ailing them in some way. So she went over them with me because she sees about 10 patients a day doing wellness consultations and that kind of thing. So we got together, and her and I, these are the basic ailments that she sees on a daily basis that people are coming into the pharmacy having issues about, anywhere from, bloating and gas, IBS symptoms, which transition to leaky gut, which transition to chronic diseases, and it spirals. I mean, people that have those turns into psoriasis or eczema, and a lot of times it's due to a candida imbalance within the gut, and then it just kind of spirals out of control. Candida thrives off sugar and processed food. What do Americans eat? Sugar and processed food. So all you're doing is feeding the problem to turn it into a chronic disease. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
No one head?
Yes.
Okay.
The main reason that I wanted Dana to come and speak about this, and that I've been digging into this, is because I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which is, it's an autoimmune disease, which means my body is attacking my thyroid. And I've been on thyroid medication for like 10 years now, had never been diagnosed with that before. So when I started researching Hashimoto's disease and finding out that most autoimmune problems come from leaky gut, that's how I jumped into this rabbit hole that she's been digging around in for years and years and years. But it's all interconnected. Every bit of it. It's all connected to your gut and your gut health and the microbiome that's happening in your gut.
About 13 years ago, which working at the pharmacy 10 hours a day, typing nonstop, I wound up going to a surgeon because he wanted me to have carpal tunnel surgery. I got to digging around and researching about that. BJ gets on to me all the time. I read everything. Yeah, that's where I learn a lot of stuff. So anyway, I realized that gluten intolerance, your symptoms, a lot of time of gluten intolerance is symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome. So I decided to go gluten-free, and then that was, I really started working on my gut to get the inflammation down. And at that point, I knew nothing about fermented foods as far as how to do them. I was still working in the pharmacy at the time. So I bought a good quality over-the-counter probiotic. If you don't take one and you're not into fermenting yet, an over-the-counter probiotic is a fantastic place to start, a good quality one.
How do you know what a good quality one is?
Well, I don't just go to the dollar store and buy like Nature's Bounty or anything like that. I buy the ones at Sheldon's Pharmacy at the Wellness Center because they are third-party tested. So if you go just get like a Nature's Bounty brand, the FDA guidelines, you have a spectrum that they have to fall within to be, regulated by them or approved or whatever. And one batch could be down here on the lower spectrum and one batch could be up here. So it's not...
And it's the same bottle, but you might buy it in February and it's completely different than what you bought in
And then you're like,
December.
this one's not working as well. And that's why, because it's not third-party tested to be consistent, a consistent daily dose. So they third-party test theirs. It's local. It's where I work. I know the drive that they have on providing a good quality supplement, so that's where I get mine at. You can order them online from them. They have an online store as well. But with that being said, all of my symptoms to carpal tunnel went away. I never had to have surgery. So
What again did you take? I'm sorry.
I started taking an over-the-counter probiotic, and I went I stripped, I went gluten-free, and I started really focusing on fighting the inflammation internally. And a great, where to do that at is with ferments and probiotics, is to get the inflammation down within your gut.
Yeah, I have the same.
So people that have deal with rheumatoid arthritis or just regular arthritis, or you have a joint, like you had surgery on your knee or whatever before, inflammation sets up in there, and when you're eating sugar and processed foods, it feeds that inflammation, so then it becomes a chronic problem. The inflammation balloons internally.
So all these products right here heal that.
Yeah, they help with that, because these are your healthy probiotics. And this is just some. Everything can be fermented. But as far as the gut evaluation goes, y'all, I just put that on there for you all to look at. Just kind of give yourself a self-evaluation. Do you deal with these things on the daily basis? If you do, are they extreme or a little bit, as time goes on? Are you noticing you're developing more of these?
And these are just some of the common ones, right?
These are your most common ones, yes. These are the ones that when people reach out to me having issues, and then the same with Mary Lee at the pharmacy, these are their most common.
And a lot of times, these are the symptoms that it's starting out.
Yes.
And when it goes unchecked, it can develop into other things.
Well, right here, you go to the doctor with bloating, gas, heartburn, some constipation, diarrhea at times, they're going to tell you you've got IBS.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you do. Your bowel is all irritated. That's all there is to it. But it's time to change some things. And I will also say, BJ hears this all the time, sugar, processed sugar, feeds all of that. That is your biggest enemy right there. And that, I don't know what I'm allowed to say or what I'm allowed to say.
You're allowed to say anything.
Okay.
Let us just preface this by saying
We're not in my kitchen, so
we're not doctors.
Exactly.
We're not prescribing anything. If you're on a medication, don't stop taking that medication unless you go talk to your doctor.
Yep.
Make all of your decisions with an informed mind.
Yes.
Okay? Find out all the facts and decide what's best for your health.
Yes, and I will tell
That
you.
being said, she's gonna tell you what.
And to me, my personal point of view is fermenting is your first step in becoming your own medical provider. If you want to start taking your health serious and taking it in your own hands, start with ferments and grow some herbs, and you're gonna have it pretty much whipped. So, and cut out your sugar, your processed food and sugar, because our society, our country, our leaders, whatever you want to say, they've got it figured out exactly how much sugar to put in things to make this society addicted to it. And there is no money in wellness.
Like in marketing, they call it a bliss point.
Yes.
It's the exact amount of sugar that it takes to get people coming back and back
Yes.
and back.
And I've said this to everyone, and I'm going to treat you all just like your family standing in my kitchen. Personally, we all know, there's no money in wellness. And the way they create the sugar feeds cancer. So therefore, they're not going to tell you to cut out your sugar because they don't want you to stop coming back to see them. So,
Can I just say one thing on the sugar?
Yes.
The more cancer patients that I talk to, there are more and more health or cancer centers that are telling them to cut out sugar.
that is fantastic.
Good.
I'm glad about that. That is really good.
So,
Moving on.
moving on. So what kind of foods, if we're going to start doing ferments, what kind of foods are we doing? And by that, I mean, is it okay just to buy stuff at the grocery store, or do I need to be looking for it somewhere else?
Buying it at the grocery store is totally fine if you're using organic things. Because where your bacteria comes from, your healthy bacteria, your healthy strains that are forming in these fermented things, is from the microorganisms that are on the produce item themselves. So an apple is gonna have a different microorganism on it than cabbage. And then carrots has a different microorganism than cabbage. So whenever each one of these provide a different spectrum of healthy yeast, fungus, and bacteria. So going back to the store-bought probiotic, that's a great place to start, but your store-bought probiotic is gonna have anywhere on average 6 to 10 strains of healthy bacteria. And
How many are supposed to be in a gut?
oh my gosh, millions. Like,
Right.
so when you have 6 to 10 strains opposed to the millions you need to have, and the bad bacteria, the germs that are floating around in the atmosphere, you know, you're not going to be able to fight all of those off by just taking the same 6 to 10 strains every day. So if you are going to be a person that doesn't want to do ferments, it is highly, highly, highly recommended to change your store-bought probiotic every 3 to 4 months, no more than every 6 months, because you want to change up the bacteria that you're introducing to your gut. So with that being said, like this is the ginger bug, which comes from organic ginger. So that has different microorganisms. This drink right here is the probiotic drink. My son will drink this whole thing in one day. There was meant to be 2 other bottles, stages of fermentation for you all to try and compare, but guess what?
You drank them.
Nope, they exploded.
Oh.
Ask BJ about that. He thought we were under attack the other night when they exploded, one in the fridge, one on the counter.
With that being said, not good glassware.
Well,
At
That's
this
my
point,
next
he's
point.
like laying in the bed going, it's the ferments. Nobody's breaking into the house. It's
he
the
said,
ferments.
that one was in the dang refrigerator. And I was like, it's just supposed to slow it down. It's not going to stop it. So, yeah, with that being said, these 2 larger, thicker quality bottles, I've had them for years. I really don't want to jinx myself and say they're not going to explode, but I did buy 2 other bottles off of Amazon last week to bring to have for demonstration. They both exploded within 12 hours of each other, so make sure you buy good quality glass bottles. Let's
Where do you
see.
get yours at?
These I bought secondhand at,
Like say brew supplies probably?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I bought them secondhand. And I literally paid like 50 cents or $1 a piece. I don't know if it was dollar or the Goodwill or
They have like a seal on them that says Bloom's family.
who knows where they came from. I bought them. They had them together. They were, I think, $1 a piece or something.
Is pickling as good as fermenting? Or, I know with pickling you use vinegar, but I know with kombucha, it kind of turns vinegary when you ferment it, so.
Well, the SCOBY does the fermenting, and we've got that down here as an example as well. And do you all know what a SCOBY is? You do? Okay. So it's your symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And I've got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 in here if somebody wants to go home and make their own kombucha. There's some of those in there. But anyway,
So SCOBY is that gelatin kind of thing that forms when you're making apple cider vinegar. It would have been one of those things that I would have thrown away because I would have been like, what is growing on my face? So but that's good stuff. Don't throw that
I
away.
get excited when it starts.
well,
So
like,
I got a question.
yeah.
I've made apple cider vinegar 2 or 3 times and I've never had that form at the top of mine. What am I
Me
doing
neither.
wrong?
Okay,
Really,
well,
I've never had it formed.
This is, am I okay?
No,
Mom?
you're good.
Okay, so this, I kind of brought the whole kitchen here just so you all can see the stages. But this is how I do it. My mindset is I don't want to waste anything. So with that being said, all of this is in phases. It starts when I'm making apple brandy. So I take the organic apples, organic raisins, and organic cane sugar, layer it up, seal it, tuck it away for 6 months to a year, strain it, and then turns to apple brandy. I just bottle it, put it away, give it away as Christmas presents. We all fall on hard times. I've got something to barter. Then the cores that are left from that, I turn into apple cider vinegar. For apple cider vinegar, do the majority of y'all make it? Yeah, okay. So basically, if you're making a half gallon of apple cider vinegar, you're going to use filtered water, because if you use chlorinated tap water, chlorine kills all your healthy bacteria in there, and you're just going to have a jar of rotted food. So filtered water, if you're making a half a gallon, do a half a cup of pure cane sugar. If you're making a whole gallon, do a whole cup of pure cane sugar. Put all of your leftover parts, your stems, your cores, your peelings, depends on what you're doing. If you're making applesauce and all you got is the peels, fill the jar up full of peels. Any leftovers you've got, stir it every day for 2 weeks, then let it sit for like 6 weeks, strain it off, then it goes into this jar. When it's in this stage right here, when you're letting it sit and turn from basically your hard cider to your vinegar, that's when your SCOBY's going to form on top. The mother never, it
I've
doesn't?
never had it come up.
Okay.
And I have one sitting on top of our fridge right now. It's been sitting there for about 4 months, and there's nothing on top of it.
It took me like 3 tries to get one. I've tried and tried.
Well, and once you make a batch, you can even, if it's your very first batch, which I know the Bragg's is not the same as it used to be when you buy it. It's not as thick as it used to be. It's more clear now. But anyway, you can kind of jump start this process by just adding, I say, a couple of shot glasses. I'm really bad at measuring, y'all. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a recipe person. I do what my heart feels, and that's that. So I just give a couple of splashes. I use parchment paper because as this turns to vinegar, I don't want it to rust the bottom side of my lid and then rust fall in my vinegar. And then this is the bottle that I just poured in, and this is the one that sits on my shelf and that I just use every day out of the kitchen. And then there is actually SCOBY down in there. There's another mother down in there. But these are extra ones if anybody wants them. When you get your SCOBY, this is where you ferment your tea. You brew your tea, mix your pure cane sugar into that. There's a recipe, a good guideline in your packet here. But Shelly's working on her kombucha now. And I've got some if y'all want to try it. This is labeled the kombucha vinegar. This is if you let it sit too long, but your SCOBY will still live in this. So it can just hang out. What I use that for, I mix my chicken's grain in it and my pigs, and it's great for them. It's great for their gut health, all the things for your livestock. So leftovers, just go to the animals. I did bring this so y'all can see just a good visual, something local that you can buy, the tea to use. And then these are just the different vegetables. As far as the probiotic drink goes, I make my own juices. So cranberry, blueberry, pineapple, apple, whatever. Make our own juices. And, which I wrote the recipe on these cards here. But to make this, I use, and you can buy any organic juice from the store if you want something quick to make. Mix it with ginger bug, let it sit and carbonate, and that is for kids. It's a fantastic, like, I haven't met a kid yet that doesn't like it, and you can change it up and put any juice in it that you want.
And you get the good stuff from the gingerbread you would put in there.
Yeah.
Because there's
Which-
no kombucha in there.
Right. This right here, This right here is just gingerbug, and your organic juice you want. So it has like the microbes off of the fruit that you have in there, and then the microbes from the ginger in there, which you also get. Ginger is great medicinally anyway. It's great for your stomach. It's great for healing and all the things. It's great for your blood pressure and nausea and antibacterial stuff, anti-inflammatory stuff. So if you're wanting one that's a great inflammation fighter, make it with blueberry juice, because blueberries, they're fantastic at inflammation. So if your gut's out of whack, you're dealing with a rash, you got a kid that's got a heat rash or eczema or whatever, that'd be the place to start right there.
Blueberries are also good for iron.
Yeah, yes, they are.
So when we're talking about ingredients, we want, if you're getting them from the grocery store, you want organic ingredients, because you don't want that bacteria washed off. You don't
Right.
want wax on the apples or, whatever they're doing. You can get it from the farmer's market. It's probably better if you know the farmer that you're getting it from. Grow your own stuff out of your own garden. I mean, all of that good bacteria that's out in the area that you live in, that's probably very healthy for you because it's the area that you live in, right?
What's in this last jar?
Right here,
Yes, ma'am.
that's just homemade brown sugar, and that is how you feed the ginger bug.
Oh, okay.
So I've got the ginger here and the brown sugar, and then,
The other ones use cane sugar, but that one uses that kind of sugar.
well, you
That's
make
made with
homemade
cane
brown
sugar.
sugar with cane sugar and molasses. And then, so the ginger bug, where it has the molasses in it, it has all the nutrients of molasses, which is great. Potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, molasses, and use blackstrap molasses, unsulfured blackstrap molasses.
So this is a bag of cane sugar, came from Kroger, right?
Yep,
That's what I use.
Kroger or
You
Walmart carries
can
that.
get this there.
I get mine at
Um,
Walmart.
The, like she said, making the brown sugar, making your own brown sugar, blackstrap molasses, that's all you need to do this. If you want dark brown sugar, you just add a little bit more molasses.
The typical standard for you can tell where my two black batches blended together, but it's where I just added to the jar. But typical light brown sugar is 1 cup cane sugar to 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses.
And it literally takes 10 minutes to make.
I dump it
Super
in the
easy to
KitchenAid
make.
mixer, turn it
Yeah.
on, and come
And
back
dump
in a few
into it.
minutes. Yep.
She's gonna get into talking about sauerkraut and all of that, but talk a little bit about the salt.
Yes, salt. Okay, on your paper, let's see here. So what I've done, I had Shelley print y'all's, and then I went back and added notes for myself, so my pages don't match y'all's pages. So let's see here. So basically,
Under tools needed,
Yep.
you've got non-iodized salt.
yeah. So, I tried to bring things that were local, that was easy for us to get around here. My favorite is Redmond's Real Salt. It comes from Idaho, I think, somewhere around there. So, it doesn't have to travel 7,000 miles to get to us, it's here in our own country. But anyway, you do not want a refined sugar or salt. You do not want anything that has any additives, any iodine, anything like that. You want strictly salt. If you can't find Redmond's, you can do Celtic salt. Shelley and I, one of the ladies at church, she mentioned to me that she used just canning salt. I never even looked at it because this is what I can with. I've never gone and bought a thing of canning salt. So, but come to find out, canning salt is not iodized, and I did not know that. So, there you go.
Would kosher salt work?
As long as it is not iodized, yeah. And
You'd have to look it up or not.
yeah, and then if you get the fine like this, your typical, when it comes to fermenting, is like 1 tablespoon-ish per 3-pound head of cabbage. If you use Celtic salt, if you use a larger salt, your measurement will be a little different because the grains are larger, so you'll have to use more of it to get the same saltiness as this. So, keep that in mind too whenever you're putting your ferment together. Again, I think I touched on it a while ago. Water is very important. Filtered water, chlorine, chlorine's put in our water to kill the bad bacteria out of our water and to keep it clean.
You spring water.
And you can use spring water, yes.
Use for vinegar.
As long as it doesn't have any, chlorine in it, because chlorine will kill your beneficial microorganisms in there, and it'll basically sit and rot, or it won't be very good.
One of the things when I was over her house, one of the things that she taught me that really stuck out to me is the kombucha. Because she has ferments sitting all over her house. They're all over her kitchen, they're in the cabinet, they're in the fridge, they're everywhere, right?
I started climbing in the chair and I was like, here.
Yeah. But she has a jug sitting on her island in the kitchen that she makes kombucha in, and it has like a cheesecloth on the top of it. And one of the things that she said that stuck out to me was, how she was talking about each one has so many strains of bacteria. That kombucha that's sitting on the counter with the cheesecloth on it is catching all of it. Like everything she makes in her kitchen, it's in the air and it's going into that kombucha, which to me kind of makes it like a powerhouse,
That's what's in the middle of my kitchen.
Yeah.
Because over by the stove is sourdough starter, like on the bar over there. Over on this side was probiotics, the ginger bug, the vegetables, and then I have that centrally in the middle, and it just catches everything.
Yeah.
So, and that way, it's also the back doors over here and the front doors over here, so just airborne stuff that's coming in, it just allows good air circulation and that kind of thing.
And I'll tell you, I sat down in her kitchen and I saw it sitting there and I knew what it was, and I said, I don't like that stuff. And I had bought kombucha at the grocery store. They have the flavored stuff and everything because I know that it's supposed to be good for you, and I'm like, I probably should try to start drinking this. And every time I tried it, I was like, that's the nastiest stuff I've ever put in my mouth. I do not want any more of that. And so she's talking about it, and then she was like, you don't have to drink it. She's talking about it and everything. And finally I said, okay, I'll try it. Oh my God, her kombucha is, and I'm not even a tea drinker, but it is really good. And so now I'm on this quest I've got some going at home, but I haven't got her taste yet, and I want it to taste like hers. But
And it'll take time. Like
Yeah.
you'll notice every single time you feel, and that's another thing. As your SCOBY grows and gets those different funguses and different bacteria and yeast all in there, and your SCOBY becomes the powerhouse of, it just holds it all. It's like just a sponge that they all just live happily in. And I don't know how that's possible, but they do.
Right.
And yeah,
Do you make the candy out of the SCOBY?
no.
Some people
No.
do
Some people do. I normally, your garden really likes it just because it's acidic. So you can cut up your SCOBY, put it in your garden. I just throw it in the compost pile. I just feed my compost with it, because another thing about your kombucha vinegar, if you don't want to feed it to your animals, this right here will like fire up your compost pile. If you got one just hanging out and put that in there, like your compost pile really thrives off of the vinegar as well.
But it's an absolute great idea for your animal to have healthy guts too.
Yes.
And we get
Because
ours
they're
out
going to be
outside.
able to fight off any sickness, illness, whatever, if they have a healthy gut as well.
So once I get my SCOBY and my vinegar, do I just take it out and put it in a separate container with some of the vinegar on it to keep it moist, or how does that work?
You can leave, like this jar right here the other day.
Yeah.
There
You had
is-
a big jar like that with SCOBY stacked up in it.
Yeah, and that's where these came from. I have another jar at home that had produced just a ton of SCOBYs. So they will continue to live in the vinegar and thrive off of the mother. So
For how long?
ever.
Forever.
Yeah, like I
You
had
feed
one.
it?
I had one. Nope, it just hangs out in my cabinet. Like one SCOBY was like that thick. So, once you make your kombucha, have you made it before? I can't remember. Okay. So brew your tea, and there is a specific way of doing it. Keep in your mind, obviously, that your SCOBY is a living thing. So, pouring hot tea on it, you don't want to kill it. So the way I do mine, I boil my water, which I use filtered water, bring it to a boil. Then I add in my cane sugar and stir it up, and then my tea bags. And it's all going to depend on how big of a batch I'm going to make. But typically I make about, I don't even know, I eyeball everything. Anyway, I use 4 tea bags for probably.
You told me 4 tea bags for 6 cups of water.
Yes, and then we add more water to it, so it's a total. I use 4 tea bags for about a quart of water, because the SCOBY feeds off the caffeine and the sugar. So that is what gets it fired up and going and causes the fermentation process. So because you're having to grow, you'll notice your first time that you make this, like Shelly was like, it's got this white stuff on top. Your SCOBY is gonna start out small, because most of the time, like this one right here, when it grows another SCOBY, it'll be the size of this jar, because it's gonna develop on the top. If I had this filled all the way to the top, the SCOBY is gonna form like in the neck, so it'll be smaller. It'll develop the size of the area on
So
top.
the wide is normal.
Yes, and like the SCOBY that I had started not too long ago, because I'd had the same one for like 7 years, and I got to noticing that after like 14 to 18 hours, it was fermenting so quickly, it was turned into vinegar like within less than 2 days' time. So I was like, we're gonna slow this down. So I composted that one and started a new one a few months ago. But it's already, you'll notice when you have your SCOBY on there, when you first start, it may sink, it may float, it doesn't matter. Within a couple of days' time, you'll start to notice tiny little bubbles around the rim. And then you'll think, like Shelly thought, is this normal? Because your SCOBY, where it's attracting all the bacteria and stuff that's flying around, the top of your kombucha will look like it has a film on it. That is your SCOBY growing. And it'll start getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and it'll go from like a yellowy color like this to dark brown, and like mine is a whole town on its own. I don't know. But boil your water, mix your sugar in, then do your tea, just let it steep. Strain your tea bags out and let it cool to room temperature. And then I kind of take a wooden spoon, stick it in my jar, and pull my SCOBY to the side, because I don't want to pour it straight in on top of my SCOBY. Give it a little stir, flatten my SCOBY back out, cover it with a cheesecloth, and my container is glass with a glass top. I caulk the top up because you want it to have airflow. Again, it's a living thing, so don't put something that seals, because you're going to cut off the oxygen and it's not going to be able to catch those good microbes and stuff that we need.
So how do you know if something turns bad?
There's 2 things. And it's the one thing that I go by every time she asks me, I'm like, how does it smell?
That's what she said.
My theory is your nose knows. If it smells rotted, if it smells disgusting, you know it's bad. If it's fuzzy, it's bad. There is, if it smells, sour, tangy, sweet, yeasty, those are all normal. There is, how many of y'all are familiar with calm yeast? Anybody? Okay. Calm yeast is basically the layer, and it can develop on any ferment. If you have a huge crock full of kraut, It is, a white film, and I describe it as being kind of powdery. Like if you stick a wooden spoon in it and pull it out, it's kind of waxy, powdery like. That's totally fine. Some people just mix it right on in and go about their business. I'm not that girl. I get a paper towel, wipe it around the rim, and wipe the top of that off, and just toss it. If it's fuzzy, if it's got color, like if it's green, black, blue, red molds, those are all molds, toss it. And another thing, let's see. Yeah, that's basically it. I was trying to think if there was something else, but basically, oh, and mold. The calm yeast will kind of start out cloudy on top and gradually, like it progresses
Layers.
at the same stage. If you have mold, it's normally spotty. Like you got a cluster here, and a little fuzzy something over here. Those are good indicators of mold as well, as they're not equivalent across the top.
You was talking about you use the glass lids and prop it. Can you use the fermenting tops for that, or do you prefer just to have the lids that you can prop with?
Well, I do the lid because you have the SCOBY on top.
Okay.
Eventually, when you first start your batch of kombucha, your SCOBY may go down, but as your SCOBY starts catching things, it's going to pull your SCOBY up to the top. So eventually that SCOBY is going to be on top. And where you want it to have airflow, I just lay a cheesecloth over it. I don't strap it down or anything. It's just laying over the top. Shelly asked about fruit flies. I never had an issue with fruit flies, and it may be because it, is eventually a vinegar-based thing, but I've never had any issues with fruit flies or anything like that in mine.
So, is there like certain things to ferment for certain things in your body? Like for instance, Mama probably told you our son has psoriasis really bad, and I know it's a depth thing. So like, what would be something, should he do like the probiotic drink, or should he drink kombucha? Because I've heard that you have to also drink kombucha.
Well, let's say this. Especially with little ones. How old is he?
6.
Okay. Anybody starting out with ferments, you do not want to do more than 2 tablespoons a day, because you're going to send your gut isn't used to those things. So I kind of was afraid I was going to send Shelly into a healing crisis when she left my house.
things.
She had apple brandy, she had kombucha, we had some probiotic drink, we just had everything. So there is a such thing as a healing crisis, and that is because fermented products trigger detoxification. So, it stimulates your liver, your kidneys, all of that kind of stuff. Well, when you have all of these unhealthy things in your gut, and you drink or eat some of this, and it starts going through and cleaning all that stuff, and your brain's triggering, hey, get rid of that, there is a such thing as a healing crisis. And it can, depending on how, if you get up one day and decide, I'm cutting out sugar, I'm not going to eat GMO foods, no more processed food, and I'm going to live off ferments, you will trigger a healing crisis. And symptoms of that is a lot like the flu. Nausea, you can have diarrhea, you can have a headache, the fatigue is unreal, your muscles, everything, because you are detoxing. So, with that being said, anyone that starts out doing a home fermented item, even if you do it poorly, the quality of it is going to be better than anything that you can buy fermented in the refrigerated section at the grocery. So, even if you poorly do it, you're still going to have way better benefit than anything you can buy. So, start them out slow. I would probably do like a tablespoon.
So like, do you like do that, like a tablespoon for like a month and then go up to?
Well, here's what you do, and I know it's hard with children, which they're more resilient to things. You know, they're just, oh yeah, I've been gassy, who cares? But, you know, a lot of
They compete with it.
So, we as adults start out with your 2 tablespoons a day. If you're like, yeah, I'm kind of bloated, yeah, I'm kind of gassy, stick with your 2 tablespoons. 3 or 4 days down the road, you're like, okay, it didn't blow me up today. Increase it a little bit, or continue a shot of the probiotic drink and a few bites of sauerkraut, because then you're going to get the microbes and the yeast and the bacteria from whatever juice you use, and then the ginger bug, and then you're also going to broaden your healthy bacteria to what comes on cabbage. So, don't overdo it, or you're gonna be like, I feel like crap and this girl don't know what she's talking about. But low and slow, just see how you feel, do it a few days. But I will tell you, when you left my house, did you just feel like the most happiest person in the world?
I had this feeling of like I'm all about right now health sovereignty, and I felt like I had one more tool that I could use to become that way, and I felt it was kind of a euphoric feeling of not having to rely. But as far as my gut, like when I got home, I wasn't sick. And I tried a lot of stuff. And I was kind of worried. I thought I'm gonna get home and be laid up in the bed or something.
Well,
But
and I
was
mean, the
fine.
thing about it, like ferments, I call them mood food. Like the way they work in your gut, because sugar feeds the bad bugs that release the toxins. The toxins are then anxiety. So when you're feeding healthy things, it combats the anxiety, the bad bugs, the feeling like that. Thus in return helps diminish symptoms of depression and that kind of thing. I call ferments my mood food. They make me happy. I mean, they make me feel good. So, but,
Is there like certain things you should eat or drink for certain things going on in your body?
well, I will tell you, you can take any vegetable and ferment it, and if you add garlic to it, you've just made a rock star. Garlic is your number one.
That's the only thing I've fermented is garlic and honey.
Yeah, and I should have brought some of mine out of the cabinet.
I
I
almost
didn't
grabbed mine when I left this morning, and
I didn't even think about it. But like,
It's actually the first successful thing that I ever fermented was garlic and honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I mean, you can put, so like your son with some issues he's having, rash, psoriasis, eczema, whatever.
Psoriasis really bad.
You could get fresh thyme and ferment it in the cabbage, and he would get the benefits from the cabbage and from the thyme. Throw some garlic in there, which is a great anti-inflammatory as well, and it.
What about like
Just
the
makes-
drink stuff, because like he's he's gonna be picky, if he don't like it, he ain't gonna do it. So
Well,
like,
we're gonna,
can he be in here to try one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way
Yeah.
I can
If
know
you
what-
guys,
The only
if you guys
one
wanna
we're not
try some
trying is the apple
kombucha or
brandy.
the apple brandy, you don't need to drink that. That's some good stuff.
As crazy as it is, he don't need to try that.
But if you guys wanna try kombucha or the probiotic drink, we've got cups up here, you can try that.
I will tell you, like when Shelly was at the house, the probiotic drink, it is normally very carbonated. Like when you open it, it'll bubble out
It's
the
like
top.
as carbonated as like, cause you had grape.
Yes.
It was as carbonated as like a grape soda that you get. Like she opened it and it went
So
It
it
was
doesn't.
really
Needless to
good.
say, we don't have that amount of carbonation because they both blew up. So.
Probiotic drink, would that be good? Like, so if he likes that, is that something that could help him?
Yes. My son
That's
is
what I was saying. I
13.
didn't know if there was like certain ones to do for certain things.
Um,
You know, like herbal stuff is, you know?
Well, I mean,
tinctures and all that. That's what I'm
if you put herbs in them, you'll get the medicinal properties of the herbs as well. But, you know, if, like so many of our kids have been on antibiotics, well, even as adults, if we complete one therapy treatment of an antibiotic, so whether it's a 7-day, a Z-Pack for 5 days, or you do augmentin for 14 days or whatever, it takes a solid year of extremely strict, gut-focused wellness to restore the gut biome that was wiped out by that one treatment of antibiotic. So, when you turn around and if you continue to feed sugar and processed food, all you're doing is feeding the bad bacteria in there, and then it results into other issues. So then you may have a child that has an abundance of candida, and that may be like our teenage son walking around thinking he has jock itch after football. But the fact is, you know, heat rashes, depression, nasal congestion, like people go to the allergy doctor, my nose is bleeding, I'm congested all the time, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it is an abundance of yeast in your body, like bad yeast. So, like, our son had an abundance of that several years ago. He was like 5 or 6 years old. He had 6 warts come up on his knee. He kept thinking he was like dealing with jock itch and different stuff. He had like a heat rash up here on his chest and on his shoulders and stuff when he would get outside and sweat through the summertime. I gave him thyme tincture twice a day. And within like 4 months' time, all the warts were totally gone and things were leveling out for him. He felt a lot better. But, you know, he's a kid. I mean, we struggle with it all the time. He wants to eat sugar just like every other kid. But the fact is, I try to keep him eating these things when he's at home so he can be more normal when he's not at home. But the fact is, keeping the gut in check, that's where 80% of your immune system stems from.
Yeah.
So, if you are healthy internally, you're going to fight off all the other things that these kids strep every 6 weeks and flu and COVID and whatever. I mean, stomach bugs, you know, all those things. So, obviously, y'all, gut health is my passion.
So Dana is gonna demonstrate how to make sauerkraut. If anybody wants to come up here and be
Yeah.
a part of that, you can come and do that. Also, we've got, so this is like brand new kombucha, right? And this
I
is a
bought
week
it
old.
yesterday. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we've got 2 different kinds. You can try, you can taste them and see if you know, can tell a difference or whatever. We've also got that drink right there. Is that cranberry?
That is
gingerbread?
cranberry, and gingerbread.
And you
yep.
can try that as well.
I mean, you can even try the apple cider vinegar. You know, a lot of people, I take it like a tablespoon a day. So,
and I brought some of these containers. She has scobies that you can take them if you want.
Yep.
We've got a container you can put them in, and we'll put a little bit of that vinegar in with it. And if you want to go home and start making your own kombucha.
yeah, and you can check out again, I brought the things that
Yeah, I
can
had to
easily
take,
be bought around here.
when I was over there, I was like taking pictures of all the stuff because then I'm sending it to my husband because he works in Bowling Green and we don't have a Kroger in Edmonton where I live. And I'm like, you need to go to Kroger and I need this and I need this. And I'm like, he's like, okay. So,
Yeah, and I mean, even the salt, which I keep it in this jar at home, but
so yeah, if you want to come up and pound some cabbage.
yeah.
But real quick, we didn't talk about dry versus wet.
The what?
Isn't the, and I'm not saying it right.
What?
So like cabbage is yeah, brine, dry brine versus
Yeah,
wet
oh,
brine.
I'm sorry. I was like, huh?
Yeah, a brine,
Okay,
yeah.
yes. There's, essentially, I didn't put them on your paper because I was thinking about the Dana process. And essentially there is 3 brines. And I only gave you 2 because I don't typically ferment fruit, and I'm going to this year, just so you know. There's a sugar brine too. And I printed it off to be able to just give you, y'all can just jot it down to have. But, dry versus wet, basically, I gave you on this paper, just so you all can have, essentially the recommendations that anyone can find online. Me, across the board, whether I'm doing dry or wet brining, the way I do it, is 4 teaspoons of salt per quart. Which when you're thinking about quart, this is where I had trouble when I first started. So some of you all probably already know that, but when I'm saying quart, I mean quart of food. So like the cabbage that I have in here, I better put my gloves on. The cabbage that I have in here, when you're thinking about per quart, you need to, and I eyeball everything, to know how many quarts this cabbage is going to produce. So if I were to like wet brine, like these carrots here, it's still 4 teaspoons per quart, but the way that, this is hard to explain. I use a pint jar. In my pint jar, I do the filtered water and the salt, 4 teaspoons of salt in this, and mix it up. Because your food is going to take about half of your jar, and especially after it loses its water. So I don't want you to mix 4 teaspoons of water in this jar and then stick your food in there, because then your water is going to be overflowing. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, because you'll lose all your salt.
So
So
for your,
pre-mix it, put your food in and pour that in.
yes. So I use the pint jar to put my water in, and I do 4 teaspoons because, and I won't even fill this up with the water because it may not even hold all of that. But the point is to get 4 teaspoons of salt in this jar. So, does that make sense? Okay. When I was very first trying to self-teach myself, I'm like, how the heck am I going to do this without losing my salty water? And then I figured it out. I just had to use a different process there. So this is essentially wet brining. You make your brine because things like carrots that are big like that, the water won't pull out. So as far as like cabbage, this one right here, this is my absolute favorite. I just take a couple of tablespoons of it and throw it in a salad. It is a Honeycrisp apple. Actually, it's 2 Honeycrisp apples, 4 beets, and purple cabbage. Don't do that, girl. You can try later. But like this made its own brine because, you know, beets hold a lot of water, cabbage hold a lot of water. And
This is loaded with vitamins and
Oh,
minerals.
yeah. And
Loaded.
you want to talk about a blood pressure fighting powerhouse? Right there.
Yeah.
That's it. Or stabilizing. I have very, very low, like I'm like, the other day I checked my blood pressure and it was 81 over 50 something. So anyway, yeah. But anyway, as far as cabbage goes, things that can be, are you gonna be the cabbage pounder? You want,
I
you want
thought
somebody
somebody
else?
could come up and do it.
Yeah, they can.
Who wants to come pound cabbage? Come
Come
on.
on. I'm gonna sit
I did
this.
the soap last time, so.
Do what?
I did soap last time, so.
You making soap?
Last time we did this, I did the soap.
Got any gloves?
Yeah.
I helped you.
No. Okay, this, I just chopped this up this morning before we came, just to kind of save us some time.
No, that's store bought.
This is store-bought organic cabbage from Kroger.
Alright,
I picked it up just for today.
okay.
Okay, here's our salt. Now, this, you know, it's gonna, the waters are gonna pull out, you're gonna be pounding this for like 10 minutes, okay? Let me grab this spoon.
So what you see in here,
So let's do like this.
you see water in this jar right here, that is not water that she's added to this.
That's what
This is
came
the
out.
water that's come out of the cabbage.
There is as long as you use fresh vegetables, obviously we know, the fresher the vegetable, the more water it has in it, the more water there's gonna be pulled out of it. If you have some wilty cabbage, you're probably gonna have to make a brine pour in there because it's not gonna have enough water in it to pull out.
So when you buy the cabbage and you bring it home, do you wash the cabbage before you do anything?
Yeah.
Do you let it dry before you start
No.
doing anything, or just?
I don't, I just rinse it off really well.
Okay.
There will be, I did save this leaf just because you're gonna wanna save a leaf. If you do not have these fermenting weights, which I'm using 3 of them,
They can use it as a top tip.
and this one is the one that we will use. So if you do not have these little fermenting weights, these are from Mason Tops. I know there's a ton out there that you can get. Whatever you get, make sure it's glass. Make sure it has this little pickup thing. If not, you're gonna be trying to fish it out with whatever utensil, and it's gonna be splashing and making a mess.
My Aunt Renelle used to use smooth river rocks.
Yep, I was gonna say, you can also use rocks that are smooth, that don't have, love you, bye. So as far as this goes, I do not know, after we get this pounded down, it's probably gonna be a little more than a quart. Already told you I'm measuring, it's not my strong suit. So, we're going to, let's see, if I want 4 teaspoons per quart. I will tell you again, these little sticks right here, the point of them is I do this for at least 10 minutes. There you go, pound away.
So I don't get it like this?
No,
Okay. Take all the fun out of it.
I know. You wanna break the cell wall. That way the water is pulled out by the salt, therefore resulting in your brine. And I'ma taste it and see how it is. You don't want it super, super salty to where it like burns your mouth salty. But at the same time, salt is where, that's the magic maker, because it's gonna make or break it. Because if you don't have enough salt, it's gonna mold. If you have too much salt, it's gonna halt the whole process. It'll get to a point and then it'll just kind of fizzle out and won't continue to progress and ferment. I'm actually gonna get
So
this
with
out.
sauerkraut, the longer that you let it sit, like in this state right here, the more sour it will get. So sauerkraut's kind of a taste thing, like what you prefer. Like maybe in a week or so, take it out, try it, then put it back and let it sit until you get to the taste that you like. But if you're buying sauerkraut at the store, if you go to the canned food aisle and buy a can of sauerkraut at the store, that has absolutely no probiotic benefit for you because it's been pressure canned. If
I like
you
that
make
right there.
sauerkraut, if you make sauerkraut at home and you pressure can it, you've killed all the good bacteria. It still tastes good. It still tastes like sauerkraut, but if you're doing it for a ferment for your gut, there's no benefit to it.
How do you store cabbage? Is it shelf stable?
This right here,
Yeah.
just in the refrigerator.
Yeah, I keep
And
mine in the fridge.
when was the last meetup?
So the last meetup was the beginning of October, right, Jason? Was it the beginning of October?
Okay, this crowd right here, when we came home from the meetup, because Shelley had already mentioned to me coming to do this, within that week after, I went ahead because I was making a batch for home anyway, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just go ahead and just make extra, and I'll have it to take. So this right here has been, it sat on the counter for 7 days, and then I tucked it away in the fridge. So it's perfectly good for y'all if you want to try it. It's
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how they do it the old days.
In a crock.
And You just leave it out,
Yeah.
cool place, and crop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my aunt used to make it, she
And I
had
have
a
a
big
crock.
crock that had a
I'm
stone
big
lid on the
about
top
what the
of it.
Amish would do with
Right.
electricity, so if I was gonna do that, I'd want it to be able to heat that.
Well, here's the deal, that's, again, what I was talking to Melanie and Shelley about earlier, like, I was trying to think of ways that people preserve food in an off-grid manner. So, 2,000 years ago, everybody was considered off-grid. So, fermentation was the way that they did that. And when they were eating all these fermented foods, they didn't have the chronic diseases that we battle on the daily. You're doing great over here.
Let's give it a round of applause.
You might have to switch arms.
You just say so.
Make them, equal on muscle time. But anyway, when something is actively fermenting, the atmosphere, the temperature of the room makes all the difference. If you get between, 65 degrees is gonna be a slow fermentation. 72 degrees, something that would take 5 to 7 days in a 68 degree room is gonna take 3 days in a 72 degree room. The warmer it is, the faster it's gonna ferment. So, like right now, things that I have fermenting at home, they'll sit on the counter 7 to 14 days, depending on the texture and the sourness, that kind of thing. In the summertime, 72 hours, 3 days, 5 days, and it'll be done. Putting it in the refrigerator, when it gets colder, it slows the process. Do not think that when you tuck it away in the refrigerator, that it's gonna stop, because it's not. All the coldness does is just slow down the process. So like this right here has been in my refrigerator, so it's continued to ferment the whole time that it's been in there, just at a slower rate.
So now that you've taken it out and you brought it here and it's gonna be here for several hours, can you go back home and put it back in the fridge?
I can, because I have it on ice packs, so it's only being, and it's still cold right now.
Okay.
But, essentially at home, if you get it out, you eat supper and it's out, an hour or two, whatever, I just put it back in the fridge.
But the drinks, like the kombucha and the cranberry drink, you can just leave that out on the counter.
You can, but they're gonna
Make sure
continue
you
to
burp 'em.
ferment, and make
Burp.
sure you burp them, or they will, yes.
Like when it's warm, you may need to do
My
it
first
several times a
fermented
day.
garlic, I forgot all about it. And it
Um,
nasty anyway.
While we're talking, I haven't covered the pickle pipes. Got the burping.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have not invested after all these years. They make a thing called a pickle pipe. Basically, it's a little silicone lid that, it's just a little silicone thing that sits right here, and then you use your ring to screw it on. You don't have to burp these things. They naturally let the gas release. I have not bought myself those. For whatever reason, I guess I enjoy walking around the kitchen burping all the things a few times a day. So it would make my life easier if I would invest in them, but I haven't. So, when you start a new ferment, I just put a little glass plate, like a saucer, a paper bowl, something. Because if you fill it too taut with the gases in there, with it bubbling, it's gonna overflow and you're gonna have a mess on your counter. So, every day, you don't want oxygen to get in there. So, morning and night, again, depends on the temperature that's in your house. Take your lid, twist it, you'll notice bubbles come up, and close it back down. Don't open your lid and inspect it, because you don't want to give, you don't want to put oxygen in it. Because this is totally different than compost. Compost, you're wanting to keep everything aerobic.
Right.
This is basically making an anaerobic environment. You don't want oxygen. This is the opposite of the whole composting factor. How much water?
So
do
we
you
got
have?
some pickled pebbles that we're gonna give away, and James is gonna dig down in here and draw a name out. Dig down in there, don't take a bite one. Dig down in there.
You wanna take a bite and see if it's salty enough?
Dustin Bird.
Oh, yeah, you did great, that's good.
Right
keep
there,
going.
see that guy with the dad hat on? Can you take this to him? That makes
Another thing, when you try that, again, you don't want it to be super, super, super salty to where it like burns your mouth. If you get it too salty, you can rinse it off, but that is gonna you're gonna lose your natural brine, so then you'll have to make your own. But, you'll notice as time goes on, when you're putting this in the jar originally, you're gonna be like, that might be a little too salty for me. But once the form of the cabbage or whatever vegetable you're doing changes, that's when it starts, like when I put this in the refrigerator, it looked like this. It had this much brine in it. Now you can see that there's very little. And it's because it's all absorbed in the cabbage. So the flavor, the salt mellows out because it absorbs in the cabbage and any vegetable.
I can smell it. I can smell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have to hire you.
So I know all this stuff is like gut healthy. What about like if you have somebody that's suffering from liver failure or kidney failure? Would any of that stuff help?
All of it is going to be beneficial and help, but again, they're going to need to start slow because with the gut, with the liver, with the kidneys, how they detoxify the body. Like if you're a chemo patient, I don't know if anyone is on or had or going to be.
My daughter was, and she was healed from garlic, bone broth, all of the.
Bone broth.
Well, these right here, I mean, the ferments, detoxifying, do you take moringa? This is totally off the wall. Okay, that's a great detox as well for the kidneys. So therefore, cancer patients, chemo patients, it helps filter that out better instead of it just lingering internally. But they do the same effect. But since it will trigger a detox, you don't want to make them feel worse, so just low and slow. Keep that in the back of your mind.
A little bit.
Do you need a break?
No.
Does anybody want to try kombucha?
Yeah.
Sure.
This one isn't going to be super carbonated because it's in cold. These might go. Yeah. I don't think they're probably not going to overflow. They can even sniff that to know like when it's more vinegar than they can compare them. I'm going to birth this on.
Yes, I need 3.
Okay. I don't want to. I mean, y'all can even snip the ginger butter, or, I don't care. Y'all do whatever.
So again, if you want, this one is the kombucha vinegar. So when you come up here, if you want to smell this one, to smell the difference or whatever. This one's like a week old, right? Has been in the fridge. This one got poured today. You can taste the difference between the two.
And this one is the same as that. I just put in 2 smaller bottles for you.
You gotta kind of come up here to experience it, so.
I'm just like, what?
What did I do?
If,
Mention that once.
you can take a splash of mine.
I like that, he likes that. It's good, isn't it? It's good.
Around your.
I was like, come here, I was like, take pictures of me with a shopping cart. So I did one.
I'm sorry.
Right by our
There we go. Okay.
I want to do a side by side and be like,